Welcome back. So the 2024 election and Trump's big win was fueled by Christian voters turning out to the polls in droves.
Yeah, join us now for more on this is President and CEO of the National Religious Broadcasters, Troy Miller. Great to have you right here in studio, Troy.
It's great to be with you.
You wrote an op-ed here, and it says, will Christian voters maintain their influence? So talk to us about that role that Christians played in this election. What sparked you to this movement here of the Christians making their voices heard?
Well, a couple of things. First, Christians did turn out in large numbers to vote for the president. Christians made up about 72% of the entire voting bloc this election around. But we did see a dip in some of the Christian areas. Evangelical Christians dipped quite a bit. 6 points from 2020 to 2024, and again from 2016. So that's really sparked us. What's going on with the Christian vote today, and how do we change that? How do we get that to turn around? We did see some good signs, though. Catholics came out in record numbers for President Trump, and Hispanic Christians also came out in record numbers. So there's a lot of good to talk about, but there's a few things we need to work on.
Why do you think that was, though, that so many came out for Trump?
Well, look, first of all, I think Trump's one of his most endearing qualities is he connects with people. And he does a really good job. And people in the pews think that they feel like Trump really understands them. You know, Trump spoke at our 2024 conference, and at that conference, he laid out really his plan, his view for the Christian community. And that resonated with our voters and with our people and people across the pews.
And I think Democrats really made this election about abortion. And I think that backfired with them because, again, you said you saw record numbers of Catholics showing up and what they were seeing, what Democrats wanted to do, especially on the issue of abortion. That did not resonate with a lot of Christians.
No, it didn't resonate with a lot of Christians. And the other things I think Democrats made a mistake with, they think Christians are one-issue voters.
Right.
So we can, well, let's push this abortion issue. Let's push this against the Christians. Christians care about the foreign policy of this country. They care about the border. They care greatly about the economy. Christians are some of the greatest givers in charity across this country. When the economy's tough, charity's tough as well. So all of those issues drove Christians to the polls. But a couple of things, Democrats also worked very hard to silence most Christians. There was a lot of cancellation still on social media of Christian messages. And then, of course, certain churches, progressive churches, they could talk all the electioneering they wanted to, but conservative churches, the minute they did that, they got the letter from the IRS saying you can't do this, and that's what's called the Johnson Amendment, and we're taking the IRS to court on that Johnson Amendment, so we're going to get that overturned by the time we get to the next election.
One of the pivotal points during the election cycle, too, was the Al Smith dinner. And Kamala Harris didn't go.
That's right.
But Trump did. And he made a lot of jokes about himself, which showed some humility. Do you think that some of the Catholics, though, were felt snubbed that Harris didn't show up to that dinner?
Oh, absolutely. You know, that's been a tradition. I don't think there's been a Democrat that hasn't shown up for that for decades. And so this is a tradition. And again, her whole message on faith. You remember the gentleman that yelled, "Jesus is Lord" in the conference, and she said, "I think you're at the wrong conference." I mean, she, on one hand, tried to court the people of faith, and then on the other hand told them, you don't really matter to me.
Yeah, no, you make a great point. I want to pivot and ask you about education here in America. Of course, Trump has tabbed Linda McMahon to be the next Secretary of Education. What do you think needs to change right now? Because we're seeing a lot of woke, anti-Christian values essentially being pushed on very young children right now, especially in the public education system.
That's exactly right. First, a couple of things I think are going to change at the Department of Education. One, I think the teachers union and the administrative state of the teachers has too much influence on what's going on in the schools, and parents don't have enough influence.
Right.
And so I think you're going to see a major change in that. Parents are going to be elevated to the role they should be to be able to play a major role in their kids' education. And COVID really exposed that. That was the thing that exposed to parents that all of these woke ideologies were being taught, and their kids are not learning to read, write,
the basics.
and the basics of math. They're being indoctrinated for social warriors later down the road.
Do you feel there's been a shift, though, since the election? In a change in all that wokeness?
Oh, all of that. I think there's a major shift since the election. And I'll tell you one thing. I think the major shift is a sense of optimism, that the country is now going in the right direction. So even in the pews, all the pastors that I talked to, even pastors that were either moderately Trump or some that were anti-Trump, even I sense a shift in them that they finally realized the country was going in the wrong direction. And now we're hopeful. We're heading in the right direction.
It's nice to be hopeful as we head into the Christmas season as well. All right, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So much more to come here on Wake Up America. Coming up, big development.